One of the thing that I have heard is related to sales funnels. Like people still do not have proper understanding of what sales funnel is actually and how it actually works. Like what is customer journey and what it means to build a sales funnel to walk the customer through that. Would you be able to explain that a bit?
I would think sales funneling, to be very honest with you, we were talking about clarity in the business. I think sales funnel and sales funneling is probably the last a founder should think about. I would probably take many steps back and think about what is being built, why it is being built, what is the pain being solved, what is the problem being solved. And something I was actually writing today, an article, I was writing an article earlier on this morning where we have been talking to people about building a movement, right? We've been talking to people about building a revolution.
Yeah.
Not in the revolution political sense, but building a revolution with a product and a service. And the reason I'm going in that direction right now with your question, Samad, is because there's a lot of tools, a lot of guidance, a lot of education, so to speak, and tips and tricks and cheats available out there for people to build a sales funnel, right? And can I appreciate that because people are wanting to sell stuff. And I think if you look around, the market generally in every industry and every domain has become quite overcrowded.
Cool.
And that's where this concept of sales funneling comes from. If you look at industries and domains where products are niche and a genuine problem is being solved, there's no sales funneling there because people already line up with those companies and those manufacturers and those providers and those founders to buy what they're selling. And hence why I'm taking a slightly different approach to your question here, that building a sales funnel is a function of trying to push and sell and convince people to buy something that does not really solve a problem. Right? A lot of marketing companies, a lot of strategy companies, sales strategy companies, they talk about these 20 different types of sales funnels and selling tactics to sell something. Again, we can talk for a long time about various sales tactics and sales techniques. However, I would perhaps avoid going into that direction because for all practical purposes, you're trying to sell something which people don't want to buy. Because if people wanted to buy what you're selling, you wouldn't need sales funneling. You wouldn't need a selling tactic, right? I mean, let's take a very, very broad example. Most of the times you hear about sales funneling and sales tactics for SaaS products or certain tools and certain media products, because there is already an overcrowded market of that, right? I'll be absolutely candid here that I tend to advise people on sales funneling, but as a mentor to founders and as an advisor to founders, I also advise them to stay away from that approach, to focus on the problem, to focus on the solution that they are building, which will help change something rather than not building another product which already exists. Like, for example, just to give you another broad example, there are probably 20 products already, or 20 apps, let's just say, on your phone, right? Which do almost similar things. There are social media engagement channels which have been on the app. There are audio apps, there are ebook apps, there are video apps, there are camera apps. And it's almost become a situation where you are fighting for the user's attention and you are selling in an overcrowded space and market. And that's where you need that sales funnel to push it through. If you look at the industry reports and statistics, everybody says and claims that this A type of sales funnel is going to help your product sell better. This B type of sales funneling tactic is going to bring you better revenues. But reality is, it's a myth. It's not true. You are able to attract attention through a sales funnel for a particular product in an overcovered market only up to a limited period of time, because then, as soon as it sort of starts eating up, it plateaus, and then you are left in this conundrum. Okay, I've sold something, I am now plateauing, I need to apply another sales technique. But if you step away from that and look at it from a distance, you are essentially trying to push a product in a market which is overcrowded and people don't want to buy.
Yeah.
You're trying to create the need for a product that is already existing in another shape or form and somebody else is using. Yes, there can always be this argument to have that, hey, my product is better than yours. Again, there is absolute, I would say, controversy in saying that my product is better than yours, because if your product was really better than the other, people would want that service.
Yes, and then you won't be competing.
You may be competing, you may still be competing, but you may not be looking at selling it to people.
People will be coming to you,
wanting to buy it in the first place.
I see.
Right? It's almost that. So again, sorry, I mean, I'm giving you a long-winded answer to your short question.
No,
Yes,
go ahead.
there are multiple different sales funnel techniques that can be applied. And again, depends upon industry to industry, domain to domain. The most common denominator is that wherever a sales funneling technique is being applied or a sales tactic being applied is where the consumer is not willingly buying what you want him to sell. So you have to find ways to create that false narrative and that false narrative-based sales pitch to push the product rather than customer pulling it from you.
I see. So this is a concept of, if I remember it correctly, is it a painkiller or a vitamin?
Almost. I mean, I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've heard about Jeffrey Gitomer. Jeffrey Gitomer is a world-renowned sales king, right? And he wrote the famous Green Book of Sales and Red Book of Sales, and he does a whole bunch of courses, etc. on selling.
Right.
One of his most famous and most popular theses, and it was also a quote, says, "People don't like to be sold, but they love to buy." It's a bit powerful. And I share this with people when we're discussing sales context, that consumers, customers in general, whether it is B2B or B2C, people don't like to be made a sales pitch to buy something. What it means is people don't want to be forced to buy something. But at the same time, everybody buys something or the other every day.
That's right.
Right? Whether it's a SaaS product or a mobile app or a loaf of bread or a cup of coffee or something, they would always buy. So people don't not buy. People always buy something. It's the compelling of the product or service being offered to them that leads them to buy it, and that leads them to sell it to another. I mean, if you take an example of a cup of coffee, it's more of a factor of convenience. What is the coffee shop on your way to work or the coffee shop nearest to your house you'll end up buying? So what is being sold by that coffee shop is ease of access and convenience. Yes, there is coffee, but that's debatable. It's potato, right? Coffee will be slightly different, but at the end of the day, it's convenience and access that the customer is willing to pay for, and availability of a particular coffee near wherever they are going or where they are coming. At the same time, if it's a SaaS product, customer wants certain feature, and they find a certain feature, they buy it, and they're happy with it. Something new comes along, they will discard the old one and learn the new one. Right? Now, the one which has been discarded would still want to sell it by applying a sales technique and a sales funnel to still try and get that customer's attention and that customer's money, because they lost out at somewhere. Right? So again, it's the cyclical function of creating that push and pull, and the harder you try to sell, the less people want it. It's as simple as that.